I got a spotter back there.
Go ahead.
Shoot her up.
Send it.
Ah.
Impact.
Go again. Shoot her up.
Send it.
One more. Shoot her up.
Send it.
Same spot. Did you see that?
Yep.
Thought it was a 6.
No, it's 5.
Okay, January the 5th, 2019. George Banky, Mirage ULR. We're here at the 3C Ranch out here south of Fort Worth, Texas. We've got 1,000 yards here. I think we've got 9 lanes that go out to about 1,200 to 1,800 yards, and then we got 2,000 yards. This is a good place to shoot right here. It's kind of difficult with the wind and the valley and all that, but that's okay. We're shooting a G2 Scope. It's a G2 Valdada. It's a relatively new scope. It's 40 main objective by 56. It's a 4.8 to 30 scope. It's really clean. The clicks in the turret are really solid. When you turn the clicks, they are the increments. It goes click, 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 very solid. It's not a deal to where you say, well, I want to turn 1 click, and then all of a sudden you go 3 clicks or 4 clicks, and you say, well, did I turn 3 or did I turn 4? This one is very solid. It has 42 mils of dial up, or roughly 150 minutes of dial up, which gives you more capacity than any available standard scope like this. The parallax is on the side. It's really smooth, works just like it should. Windage is on the right side, and the increments in it are very solid as well, same as the turret. Now, this scope is setting on a new piece of equipment that we call the adjustable base. We call it the rocker. The base is pretty solid. It has a pivot in the middle. This allows your scope to pivot up and down, so it cuts out about half the movement that you would normally have if you pivoted from the front to get more angle. We're going to offer it in, it has 0, 50 minutes, 100 minutes, 150, and 200 minutes. And what it has is a 1032 pin that comes in from the other side of the scope. I'll show you in a minute. That locates the angle. Now it has a 1/4-20 socket head for the front and the back. So when you pivot it and you put the pin in, all you do then is tighten the bolts, and it's dead solid. The scope will not move. You're set.
When are we going to be able to see that thing?
You'll be able to see it at the SHOT Show here coming up in a couple of weeks. Valdada, we'll have it in their display area there. You'll be able to have a look at it and see how it works and find out the availability and all. They should be available shortly after the SHOT Show.
Booth 331.
They could be available. I think they might have some in probably next week. In any case, it's a pretty solid piece of equipment. All you do is you just clamp it to your normal rail if you've got a lower rail, and then you've got to play with it up and down. Most people set them about from 3 1/4 to 3 1/2 inches from the center of the action to the center of the scope. Those are just kind of ballpark numbers that you can go by.
What have you got on the front of that thing? Tell me a little bit about that bipod that you're running here.
The bipod we made to be stiff. We were tired of all the little pencil lightweight hunter things. They were not wide enough at the bottom. They were just way flexy. When you get down behind your rifle and you're on your scope, you run into things like movement is a big thing. Being stable is paramount. When you get on your target with the new bipod and you put your crosshair on it, and generally you're into your target, you're trying to be as still as possible, and you're hoping that when you're squeezing the trigger that it goes off when your crosshair is on the target where you want it. Well, this thing eliminates the bulk of that movement, probably 85%. It's just dead solid. You don't have to push on it to preload it. You don't do any of that. It's just dead solid. It doesn't move. Charlie Milton called it the Anvil. That's probably what we're going to call it, is the Anvil, because it is so solid. Being wider really helps out on these big calibers with the twist and all. The twist causes your bipod to the twist causes the rifle to try and ratchet up over the bipod. When you got these rifles that have the recoil pads down, it's a built-in fulcrum, so it compounds the situation relative to the bipod. Usually F-class bipods in general are really wide, but they're still pretty flexy. This thing does not move. You can move back and forth all you want on this thing. The bipod is solid to it. We're going to offer it with the Arco Swiss type rail, which is a wider rail, and the Picatinny.
And when will it be ready?
It should be ready soon. It has the way it's set up. You can change your angle to get your bubble right. It's real simple here. It's got 2 roller bearings up front, and it puts the pivot. It puts the pivot between the barrel and the scope. It's not hinging at the bottom down here. It pivots up in this area, so it's minimal movement to get your bearing, to get your level. This thing is adjustable up and down. It has clicks, and then you can stabilize it with the knobs that are available. I just shot 1,000, then I went to a mile. I was 14.4 at the mile. I came back down to 1,000, and it went right back to the 5.4 that I shot at the 1,000 before, and it's right on target. It put 2-3 bullets right back to back, and they're within easily an inch apart. And this thing shoots pretty tight. What that means to you is that the tracking on the scope will return to what you started out with, if you like. In other words, you can move it around and you can count on it being in the same spot, which is a big deal. A lot of times scopes, you can shoot it, you'll dial it up, and then you come back and it's not the same. And you want to say, well, maybe it's my rounds, maybe this, maybe that, who knows? But sometimes it's the tracking of the scope. Well, this one tracks perfect. You guys have a nice day and Happy New Year.